Hey guys, it's your girl, Shamar. Welcome back to the front line. This week, pull up a seat, come on in the cabin. We're going to talk more about Rachel. Because she's the one weeping, right, guys? It ain't Leah, it's Rachel. Jeremiah told us so. Remember, guys? Right here in the book of Jeremiah 31:15. We should see these matriarchs somewhere else in our Torah, shouldn't we, guys? So why is it we only see Leah mentioned? We only see these two matriarchs mentioned in the two same books of Genesis and that hijacked book Ruth. Right, guys? Good old book of Ruth. We don't see Leah mentioned nowhere else, but we see Rachel. And our boy Jeremiah is talking about her. Jeremiah told us she's weeping. She is weeping for Ephraim. She is in our New Testament hijack book, ain't she? Why do they got to bring Rachel in there? Why isn't Leah mentioned in there, guys? Because they know the way to Israel is through Rachel. That's why. They know. They got to bring Rachel in it. You think I'm lying? Go check it out. She's in Matthew, crying. Oh, they had to go in there and tell you she's weeping for her children, huh? And she's in the book of Revelations. Go check it out. And it says the Creator is going to hear Ephraim again, right? So I said to myself, well, what is it about Ephraim, right? You know, guys, someone else was from Ephraim. Let's talk about her. I mentioned her a few weeks back when we were talking about good old Esther. I said, these cannot be our books for our female righteous women. And I told you guys, a woman built a whole city. She didn't build just one, guys. She built 3. Where's that story? We had Deborah, a judge. Where's that story? Miriam, a well-followed Miriam. They just snuck that up under our nose real quick. The water with the women, the well-followed Miriam. Israel had water because of Miriam. All right, guys? Where are those stories? Don't tell me those stories don't exist. Levi swept them under the rug. I told y'all. I linked Moses to Rome. What did it say is under the Vatican? Books, books, books. I got a feeling our books are there. Who is Rachel weeping for? Ephraim. You don't hear a whole lot about Ephraim, right, guys? They just were gone, vanished. Let's talk about this lady, Shira. It says here she built a city. Shira, the biblical city builder. Side note, guys, do y'all remember Shira? Y'all remember that cartoon. Come on, man, don't play with me. All of my late 70s babies. All right, fair use, right, for the purposes of education and criticism, guys. The book of Chronicles tells many of the stories of the scriptures all over again, beginning at the beginning. The first word of Chronicles is Adam, and for 9 chapters in 407 years, chronicles the people of the scripture in a genealogy that runs from Adam to Saul's great, 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 great grandsons. Azikam, all of these names right here, right? Obadiah, Hannah. Now, I know we're in uncharted territory for some of you. I found that most people don't choose genealogies to study in the church or in the academy. But I have to confess, I love, that this person loves this one begot that one, right? This is the stuff that people will be like, oh, this is foreign, right? The who begot who, I don't find that boring either, because that's where they like to hide stuff. All right. However, the massive genealogies in Chronicles is more than a list of beginning and birthings. Chronicles also tells the story of many women who were left out of the stories from Adam to David, from Eve to Bathsheba, in other parts of the scriptures. There are stories woven into the fabric of Chronicles, like the one in chapter 7 that forms our primary lesson. Chronicles 7 and 20. The descendants of Ephraim were Shelah, Bered, Tahath, Elohad, Tabhath, Zabid, Shelah, and Ezer, and Eliad. Now the people of Gath, who were born in the land, killed them, because they came down to raid their cattle. And their father Ephraim mourned many days, and his relatives came to comfort him. Ephraim went in to his wife, and she conceived and gave birth to a son. And he named him Beriah, which meant weeping, because disaster had befallen his house. His daughter was Shirah, who built the lower and upper Beth Horon and Uzan Shirah. Shirah was a daughter descendant of Ephraim, who was the son of Joseph. Now Joseph was living in Egypt when he married. He married an African sister, an Egyptian woman named Asenath. The children Manasseh and Ephraim, who were counted among the tribes of Israel, were half Egyptian, half African, so they say. We know we already know where we're from, so. Just saying that they were biracial, all right? And Shirah, the sister builder, was their daughter descendant. Ephraim's offspring are listed in a confusing jumble in Chronicles. Some are his children, some are his grandchildren, some may even be his great-grandchildren. The descendants of Ephraim, right here, right? It's telling us all of these names, but notice that name Ezer is amongst them. That's a roadmap, guys. But something happened to those young, perhaps even older men. A whole generation, maybe more, was lost and wiped out because of the choices they made. It says, now the people of Gath, who were born in the land, killed them because they came down to raid their cattle. All right. Ephraim's children and grandchildren weren't extras in the movie. They were his hope for the future, and they were dead. All right. So it says all of Ephraim's descendants were wiped out. He had another son. His name was Beriah. Started all over from there. And then he has Shirah. All right. The death of all of his descendants, children or children's children, devastates Ephraim. And their father Ephraim mourned many days, and his relatives came to comfort him. Some folks in the house today have had to bury children. That would be me. And some may have had to bury more than one. You know this is devastating. You don't get over it, even as you figure out how to go on. The pain remains. An inexplicable and unjustifiable mercy God chose to do something for Ephraim and his wife that doesn't happen for everyone. God gave them another family. Apparently, and an honorable family, right? Because his last family wiped out all of the cattle from the neighboring people and dishonored him, and they were killed as a result, right? But Ephraim, has this his son Beriah, and through him he has Shirah, who builds 3 cities. But you don't hear her story anywhere. Apparently, Ephraim has a little juice left in him. It says right here, Ephraim went in to his wife, and she conceived and gave birth to a son, and he named him Beriah, because disaster had befallen his house. This is the only text in which Ephraim's wife appears. When the Ephraimites are counted in Numbers, the other place where some of this genealogy is found, there's not even a passing reference to an ancestral mother. They did that on purpose, guys. I keep telling y'all. They keep trying to hide the mothers. It was as if all those birthings and beginnings happened by magic. Like menfolk could do that all on their own. The men don't give birth, guys. That's why when mother comes back and she sees the men with their hands on their waist, on their hips, It's confusing. It's why are the men doing this? Because they don't give birth to nothing. This is the lie in the world, right? It's her seed. All right. Like it was the men who were throwing up. Sorry, like it was the men who were throwing up and swelling up, walking around with their hands on their backs, looking for their puffy ankles. It's all right to tell the truth and say there's a little sexism in the text. After all, we're talking about the Bronze Age, which the Iron Age will be cutting edge, so no pun intended. This is one of the things I like about the book of Chronicles. While the author is chronicling the beginnings and birthings in Israel, she and the chronicler could have been a woman. She stops to tell us about the dozen of women in short stories and half verses, many of whom we would know nothing about if it were not for the work of the chronicler. I wonder who the chronicler was, guys. Because the chronicler is the only person that's going to let some of these women's name in the Torah, or we don't hear about them. All right? It says here there is Abraham's other woman, Keturah, David's sister Abigail, Zeruiah, some of David's baby mamas, Abigail, Ahinoam, Haggith, Maacah, Abital, and Eglah, along with Shira, the city builder. Shira is the city builder, y'all. She's from the tribe of Ephraim. We don't hear about her. The scripture tells us that she built 3 cities, but nothing else about her. His daughter was Shira. She built both Upper and Lower Beth Horon and Uz and Shira. 2 of the 3 cities, Lower Beth Horon and Upper Beth Horon, were on a hillside, one high above the other. The 3rd city, Uz and Shira, is my favorite because she named it after herself. Like all the men who built cities in the ancient and modern worlds. Uzin Shira means listen to Shira. How? They took the book. We can't listen to Shira if we wanted to. I'm sure there had to have been some text somewhere. Y'all don't understand what they did. Shira was from the tribe of Ephraim, guys. Ephraim. It's Ephraim that's linked to Israel, guys. It's Ephraim. Pay attention to the swap that they're pulling on you. Because without the chronicler, we wouldn't have known about all these women. Where are their stories? Where are their books, guys? I want to know. Shira built a whole city. But that's not the stories we get, right, guys? It's that we get Esther and we get Ruth. Right, guys? Tune in next week because we're going to find out why we got the book of Ruth. How a Moabitess makes it into our book. Much love to you guys. Rachel's still weeping.